We begin with breaking news because if you're about to jump in the car and head to work in Melbourne this morning, you might want to stop and listen to this one. A blaze that tore through a nightclub on Chapel Street overnight has forced the closure of one of the city's main thoroughfares. Nicholas Hines is on the scene for us on Chapel Street. Nick, good morning. So this could really delay people's commute to work this morning.
Oh, Emma, I mean, you can see exactly why you can't get up or down Chapel Street this morning. Trams, cars, bikes, all stopped as the emergency response continues here outside the Lux nightclub, which went up in flames at about 2 o'clock this morning. It was a really serious blaze. Vision from the scene showing flames shooting up metres above the two-storey building, completely destroying that first floor of the building. Luckily, no one inside at the time and no injuries reported from the blaze, but it's been a major response here on Chapel Street. The fire was brought under control at about 4 a.m. and since then, fireys have been focusing on hotspots and they say that could still take some time. Here's what the incident controller had to say a short time ago.
We've had to close Chapel Street from the north part of Commercial Road to trams and traffic while we excavate the area with our aerial appliances. Unfortunately, that's not going to be fixed probably before lunchtime today, and we've got the local building surveyor coming down to assess the parapet wall out the front with a risk of any building collapse into Chapel Street.
Now, luckily, the fire was stopped from spreading into any neighbouring buildings, but of course there is that serious concern about the structural integrity of the Lux nightclub itself. And then the police will be on the scene. There's an active crime scene here now. They believe the fire was deliberately lit. An arson chemist due to attend this morning to try and determine the cause of the blaze.
OK, Nicholas Hines, thank you.
Threats of industrial action across two major sectors are front and centre this morning as well as New South Wales tries to keep the trains running and Woolworths scrambles to keep the shelves stocked in the lead up to Christmas. Miles Holbrook-Walker is in Sydney with all the details. Miles, good morning. What's the latest with this threatened rail strike in Sydney?
Well, Michael, it's chaos inbound. You've got more than 700,000 people who catch the train in one of Australia's biggest cities every morning and afternoon to and from work. You've also got kids trying to get to school. So if this strike goes ahead, there is serious issues coming for the city. And we've heard a significant frustration here at Central Station, and we'll bring you some of those comments in a moment. There is the potential for 11th hour discussions between the Premier, Chris Minns, and the rail union to try to get a solution. But here's what some commuters are fearing may come for their journeys tomorrow morning should this strike go ahead.
I think I have to go through bus, so it will take me a lot of time. And it's really a painful journey in the morning. Maybe it takes me like 1 hour to go to work, but tomorrow it may be 2.5 hours.
Yeah, still not really sure how I'm going to get to work, so yeah, it's not ideal, that's for sure.
What they're asking for is ridiculous, you know. I think the government should just jump on them. But I think they made a log for their own back when they gave the police the big raise, you know, so everyone's going to try for it now, so it's going to be mayhem.
OK, on the second front, what do we know about this Woolworths strike?
Yeah, so we've got 4 warehouses right across New South Wales and Victoria where we're going to see workers take action. They're going to walk off the job, and the fear for supply lines is that they'll become disrupted. You know, your staple items like toilet paper, cereal, beverages including alcohol in the lead up to Christmas, obviously really important ones that people want to make sure they've got in their stocks and pantries across the country. Now, Woolworths says at the moment supply lines won't be impacted, but if the union indefinite action continues to go on, that's where problems may emerge. Now, we do have a statement from the United Workers Union who have described some of the reasons why they're going on strike. Tim Kennedy said workers have reported feeling pressured to cut corners and work unsafely or lose their job if they don't pick at higher speeds, and that Woolworths must prioritise the safety and well-being of workers above all else. So there's a clear divide here between Woolworths and its subsidiary Primary Connect, as well as the United Workers Union. And if these industrial actions continue, it does remain to be seen if supply lines right up until Christmas can remain steady, Michael. So plenty to keep an eye on.
Yeah, plenty indeed. Thank you for the update, Miles.
In other news this morning, the Australian government is planning the biggest shake-up of the nation's sovereign wealth fund in its near two-decade history. Treasurer Jim Chalmers is set to announce the $230 billion future fund will soon be required to invest in housing and green energy, providing it remains profitable. The move is expected to draw criticism from the opposition, which has previously said the fund should remain independent of government influence.
Queenslanders are on flood alert with the state's central coast set for a drenching today. The Weather Bureau is flagging the possibility of up to 300 millimetres over 24 hours from Mackay through to Yungalla.
Two men have appeared in court over the alleged murder of Melbourne teenager Isla Bell. Police charged 53-year-old Marat Ganiv and 57-year-old El Yaf after discovering what's believed to be the remains of the 19-year-old Brunswick woman at a rubbish tip in Melbourne's southeast. Mr Ganiv has been charged with murder and Mr Yaf has been charged with assisting an offender.
A new report out today reveals the rate at which First Nations children are being removed from their families has hit a record high. The annual Family Matters report shows Indigenous kids are 11 times more likely to be removed from their families than non-Indigenous children. The release comes as Shine lawyers revealed hundreds of people signed up to a class action alleging unjust removal and separation of their children by state governments.
The life of pop star Liam Payne has been celebrated at a funeral northwest of London. Friends and family gathered in Buckinghamshire to farewell the 31-year-old One Direction star. Payne's former bandmates were among the mourners.